Is it possible to make changes? Is it possible to find yourself down the road? Is it possible to achieve success without really knowing where you're going? I remember when I was back in the day, before we had GPSs, right? You would be planning a trip and you would pull out the map. That's right. You could go to the convenience store, and then you could buy a book that actually had maps that would take you from one city to another, from one state to the next. And you would sit down and you would map it out. If you're out there, you remember what that's like. Of course, now we hop in the car and we hit that little device, and actually we're just oblivious. It just talks to us and tells us where we go. Well, if we're going to be successful with our health, we want to be able to map out where we're heading. We want to see where we are, first of all, and then what are the things that we need to work on to be successful. And that's where the Limitless Living Inventory comes in. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight as we introduce this phenomenal tool that we can use to set ourselves up for success. Hey, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. If you're new to me, that's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, we are breaking free from those boundaries. We're breaking free from those obstacles. We are presenting our best self, our best health, and our best plans for our life. We're not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside of us to hinder us and prevent us from moving in the direction we need to go. We're living a limitless life. That's right. And welcome, whatever platform you're on. Glad that you are here. If you are new, go ahead and put new in the comments, because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and let you know that I am excited, that we are excited that you are here in this space. If you do have questions, go ahead and put those in the chat, because we'd love to answer those and get to them as we move through the episode, this show tonight. As you know how we do, I've got my monitors off to the side that we're going to take a look at here in just a minute. And then right down below, that is my Dexcom Clarity Report that is showing where I am. That's been the last, I guess that's the last 14 days worth of data that you'll see there. Just before I went on air, my Libre went out, so I changed it, and so got a new one on. But we do have my Dexcom that we'll take a look at here in just a little while. And of course, look at my ketones, because I just broke my fast probably about 2.5 hours ago. I was doing an episode where I was showing what food does to blood sugar. So that's out. That's going to be coming out here soon. Well, let me say hello to everyone who's out there. Like I said, whatever platform you're on, whether you are on LinkedIn or Instagram or Twitch, of course, Facebook, and then here on YouTube, I welcome you to this space and welcome you to our episode tonight. All right, let's see. Let's go over and let's say hello to some folks. Yeah, let's see who's out there, and hopefully you had a great weekend. Our weather is starting to get better here in our area, and hopefully you're having some good weather. So let's see. We've got Teresa out there, and Teresa is saying hello. She says, awesome. Lightworks is saying, hello, everybody. I hope everyone is warm and healthy. Yes. So we are getting warmer. We were cold a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, it's better now. Okay. And Teresa is saying, hi, Lightworks. Pamela saying, I am definitely warm. Don't believe in being cold. That's right, Pam. I'm with you. That's right, Lightworks. See, I couldn't remember the name of the books. That's right, Rand McNally. He said I still have a few maps. Really? Oh man. Okay. So I'm not alone. Teresa says yes, I remember those, and Steve is saying hello to everyone. Yeah, those were interesting. So one of the things that I have here in my studio. And there, as if you guys remember, if you're new to us, we just redecorated the studio. Those of you who were here, we had a bunch of things that were back there. And some of the things that I have that are still around me that I have not put up, or things that I've brought in I collect pins, and I have. Let me see, where is that one? So I collect pins, and I also collect comic books. So anyway, so this is one of the pin cases that I have. Some of the pins. These are some of the pins that we've had. My son and I and my wife. We've traveled. This is just a smattering of the ones. So that's going to go on the wall here somewhere, right? To put some personal touches. And the reason I brought that up, as you were talking about Rand McNally, I have all of these old magazines and old books. And one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one of my comics and one of the old magazines and put it in a case and put it up here somewhere. So you guys will see that soon. All right. But Rand McNally, yes. All right. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars. So as I said, I ended a fast at 5 o'clock this afternoon. And I ended the 4 o'clock actually, because it took me 2 hours. So I was fasting, not my normal fast, but I've been doing these episodes where I've been eating something and then checking to see what the blood sugar is and recording that. So that should be coming out here in the next several weeks, okay, as we continue doing that. And so what I've been doing is I have deliberately been fasting so that when I eat something, the result of the blood sugar that you see can only be from the food, right? So if I've been eating all day and I eat something, the question for me and for many of you may be, hey, is that rise in blood sugar or that change in blood sugar due to the food that he just ate, or is it just something that just got digested? And so when I fast, that allows me to, basically start from fresh. And when I see a blood sugar, if it rises, then I'm okay, this is due only to what we just ate. All right. So anyway, so that, right, so you guys got a little behind the scenes there. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars. And I started saying that because I ended my fast 24 hours, and this is what my blood sugar is. I just ate 2.5, now 3 hours ago, and this is where we are. So 132. I can't show you what the Libre says yet. I'll be able to show you that in 33 minutes because I just put a new one on, and so we'll see what that blood sugar is here in just a minute. But that is what my Libre is. Now, for my Keto Mojo and for my Contour, let's go ahead and do those. Now I know what my ketones were because I saw it because I did it earlier. But let's go ahead and see what my blood sugar is compared to where it was before. And I'll check the ketones as well because what I ate should not have caused any big changes in ketones. Okay, but let's go ahead and let's get this in here. And this is the Contour. Got the Keto Mojo. Boom, boom, boom. All right. And then let's get one of these Lancets. I'm going to choose this one because I did it earlier and I chose one of the spring ones, the spring-loaded ones, and it didn't quite work. I think my skin is too tough for those. Okay, here we are. So let's go ahead and grab and get a finger stick in there. Ow, 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 ow. Okay, that better give me a good drop of blood. And it did, because that hurt. All right, here we go. So we got that one going. Let's go ahead and get the Keto Mojo going. If I can get that drop of blood there. So 139. 139 for the Contour. Keto Mojo says 136. Okay. And then what I didn't do is I didn't open this. Okay, there we are. And this one will give me ketones. Okay, get that started. And drop of blood and ketones. Okay. So go ahead and drop in what you think my ketones are going to be. All right. So there we are. All right, so let's just hop into our conversation. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to go back and grab some, because I heard some comments going back and forth here. Let's see. Hi Teresa. He says Steve. Jennifer. Jennifer said, "Howdy y'all." Hey Jennifer, how are you? Pamela says, "Why? Hi Jennifer. Hi Jennifer. Hi Jennifer." Gian is back in the saddle. Hi Doc. Hi all. And hi Gian. So people are just greeting each other. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Hi Gian. Hi Lightworks. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's talk. So as we've been talking about limitless living, the goal of limitless living, as is the goal when we did our New Year, New You, right? In the process, is reversing diabetes. And for those of you who are out there who are not diabetic, you can plug in there reversing metabolic dysfunction. Okay, we've already laid the foundation by saying that the thing that we need to do is we need to be able to regulate, to reorient our metabolism, because that's where we get the biggest bang for our buck. The New Year, or the Limitless Living process, the foundation of it says that we are going to be addressing all the things in our lives, whether it's internal or external, that may be causing difficulties for us. We're going to face it head on, and we are going to find a way to get those things moving and get those things working. And so the Limitless Living Inventory is an adaptation of the Wheel of Life. You guys may or may not have heard of the Wheel of Life, but the Wheel of Life really says that our lives are, if you think of a wheel, okay? So our lives are our ability to run, or that wheel to move through our days and our weeks and our months in a smooth, revolving way. And the thing that allows the life to move, or allows us to move through our lives, is this wheel that we've created. And the wheel, just like a wheel, has these spokes. Think of a bicycle wheel. And each of the spokes that are on the wheel are what supports the ability of that wheel to move smoothly. You can imagine, think of that wheel where a couple of the spokes are bent, right? So it doesn't align with all the other spokes. So there's one over here that's perfect, but then on the other side, there's one that's a little bent. You can see that the wheel, instead of going in a smooth circle, it's kind of jagged, right? And it's not functioning the way we thought or we think that it should go. And not just the way we think it should go, it's not functioning in the way that it should go. And so if we can somehow figure out how to get all of the spokes functioning well, then the wheel works. And so the Wheel of Life is really an idea that says we are looking to address the things in our lives that will cause us to have disordered progress through life. And that really fits so well with Limitless Living, because Limitless Living says that we are addressing all the things that may cause damage as we are moving in the direction of metabolic health. Okay? And so the Limitless Inventory is really a play on the Wheel of Life. It's an adaptation, if you will. And there are essentially three major components that go into the Limitless Living. I'm going to show you the Wheel of Life and the expanded version of the Limitless Living Inventory. And then we'll come back and we'll kind of just simplify it into some of its constituent parts. Okay, so here we are. So this is the Limitless Living Inventory, Wheel of Life. And it says that there are several things in our lives that make up the whole of our wheel. And anytime a particular part of the wheel doesn't function well, then it disrupts everything else. But that's the idea of a wheel. The wheel should be smooth. It should be uniform so that when you're rolling down your life's road, then you don't feel as though you're just going through potholes, that it's very smooth and it is very uniform. Okay? And so things like physical health, nutritional health, are we addressing those things? Are we dealing with our emotional health and our social health and spiritual health and all those different things? Now, here's an interesting thing about the wheel. And these are representative concepts that you see there on the screen. These are fundamental concepts, and we'll go through those concepts. But within your space, within your life, as you're moving down your road, there may be some areas that I may not consider putting in my wheel that I need to address, that you need to pay attention to. And so not only is there a uniform way of looking at ourselves as we move through this idea of limitless living, but it's also customizable. So there's some fundamental dimensions that we've got to address, but then there's some areas that we can look back at and say, okay, how am I doing in this area? In fact, let me go back there. Down below here, let's make sure I got it, right? There are some areas, right? And you'll see, hopefully you see that down at the bottom. So there are the areas that are there, but there are a couple of other things, right? So romance, recreation, business career, contributions. So these are areas that may be important to me that may not be important to you. And so as we are using the limitless inventory, not only are we dealing with those fundamental items, but we're also dealing with things that are specific to us so that we can set ourselves up for the best possibility of success. All right, so I hope that makes sense. All right. Now, having said that, all of this can be simplified into 3 areas. And they are very simple. Did I do that? There we go. Body, mind, and environment. Body, mind, and environment. When we talk about the body, right, we're talking about the physical and our nutritional health. How are we doing with those things? How are we taking care of, going back to the analogy of the wheel, right? So our body is the car. Are we doing the things that we need to do to keep the car running well? Are we changing the oil? Are we rotating the tires? Are we getting them balanced, right? Do we have windshield wiper fluid? Do we have brake fluid? All of those things, are we doing the things that we need to do to take care of this physical body? And a big concept that we talk about there is this idea of balanced bites, right? So you guys knew that was coming back. So balanced bites is the way that we take care of the physical body. So that's why it says physical and nutritional. So when we talk about the limitless inventory, and let's go back there, and I want to run through a couple of things, right? So the way this works is we'll go through and we're going to look at each of these particular areas and we're going to rate them 1 to 10. 1 being, okay, I'm not doing so well in this area. 10 being, okay, this is perfect, right? Everything there's good. There's no issue. I'm consistently doing this. I'm seeing all the benefits there, right? So anywhere from 1 to 10. And so I'm going to, and here's what I want to do. We're going to go through and we're going to walk through each of these and we're going to rate them. You can drop numbers in the comments, right? So 1 to 10, 1 to 10. And so when we talk about the physical, it is what am I doing to take care of my physical body? Okay, what am I doing to take care of my physical body? Let me get rid of this one. Nutritional health. Am I doing what I need to do nutritionally? Am I fasting? Am I eating balanced bites? Have I learned how to cook? Am I mindful and am I aware of the things that I eat personally that cause problems for me? And this is an important one because I have lots of friends and have lots of clients, I have lots of patients who there is something that they've identified in their food choices that causes them physical distress, yet they still eat it. Yep. So, for example, people who are lactose intolerant, or people who have some other food intolerance. Now, there's a difference between an intolerance and an allergy, right? An allergy, when you have a food allergy, it is immediate, and it is like right now, right? You got swelling of the lips, you got difficulty breathing, you may have hives, skin changes, all of those things happen like now. A food intolerance, on the other hand, there are times when you've eaten something like 2 months ago, or a week ago, or 3 weeks ago, and today you're like, man, I just don't feel right. I can't pinpoint it. And so what we start doing is we start thinking about the food that we ate yesterday or the day before, and we're like, well, I didn't eat anything differently, but it wasn't the thing that you ate now, it was the thing that you ate 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Okay? So as we're identifying those things that are problems for us physically, are we doing what we need to do to be able to decrease? And here's the thing, right? Because when we eat those foods, guess what they cause in our body? That's right, they cause inflammation. And inflammation can cause insulin resistance. Insulin resistance causes your body to produce what? Too much insulin. When the body produces too much insulin, what happens? We put on weight, we have cravings, we have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatty liver, polycystic ovarian syndrome, increased risk of cancer, right? And we can go down that cascade. And all of that happened because of the inflammation that comes from the thing that we've already identified that causes us distress. Okay, so when we talk about physical, we're talking about what are we doing, right, to set ourselves up for success. Have we identified those things? Okay, so back to the inventory. Okay, so physically, nutritionally, are we doing those things that we need to do? If fasting works for you, are you fasting? Have you come up with a routine that is helping you to use that as a tool that gets you where you need to go? Emotional health. Have we identified the things that we need to do, the tools that we need to work on, the tools that we need to adapt or learn that puts us in a space emotionally so that we are not just on the edge all the time, so that anything else that comes pushes our button and all of a sudden we find ourselves eating Cadbury chocolate. I'm sorry, I don't know why I said Cadbury. Right? So have we identified those tools? Have we learned how to have a conversation? And then socially, are we in community? Are we in community? Are we in a space where we don't feel so lonely that our comfort comes from the buffering behavior? We are setting ourselves for metabolic success, right? Because that's what we need to change. We need to right the metabolism. And if we are not in a space where the metabolism is working, then we've got a problem. So how do we maintain a functioning metabolism? There are all these things on the inventory that we've got to address. Okay, so that's social. Spiritual health. Do you have something that restores you? Do you have something that that relaxes you? Do you have something that renovates or rebuilds you when you've gone through it. Right? Now people talk about lots of different things, right? And it says spiritual health there, but there are other things you do that spiritually restores you. Do you have those things in place? Do you have a routine that helps you to be restored? Intellectual health. And this has to do with career and just your personal growth. Are you at the same place that you were 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago? Restless, irritable, and discontent. Those three things. When we're restless, irritable, and discontent, then we are dissatisfied. And those things that come into our lives that press those buttons can easily push us in the direction of disordered metabolism. Because remember, disordered metabolism is just a consequence of the choices that we've made. And the choices that we've made are the consequence of the things that push us in that direction. So if I don't want to make this choice down here, I interrupt the process that pushes me to that choice. Environmental health, where you live, in your space. Do you have candy all around? Do you have cookies all around? Do you feel settled? One of the things on our 100-day walk to consistency, the series that we're doing right now in the morning, 6 o'clock, by the way, is we talked about this idea that sometimes we can't function well because our environment is disordered. Like there's clutter, there's a lot of stuff just kind of hanging out. You don't know where anything is. Anytime you want to do something, you got to search for it. That causes some mental anguish. Now you may say, "Oh yeah, I'm fine. I live like this and this is great." But no, your brain and your body knows. And so what does your environment look like? Do I need to do something there? And then one that we don't talk about often is financial health. Now, one of the most devastating ideas in this space is that people who have metabolic disease spend more money than people who don't. It costs them more to live than other people. They've got to buy medication. Sometimes they've got to change what they're eating. Well, we all should change what we're eating. Sometimes they have, well, not sometimes, but they've got more medical expenses, more medical bills. They cost more because they get sicker more often. If someone has diabetes that's uncontrolled, then they get sicker if they catch a cold than someone else. They can, I should say they do. They can get sicker. And so one of the ideas behind metabolism is, hey, how do we set ourselves up for success, not just with, hey, I'm going to eat right over here, but financially, what does that look like? Often I have people who will talk about the fact that they're having trouble with their insurance company. That's a whole nother conversation, so we're not going to go down that road, because don't get me started, okay? Because I see that all day, every time I'm at the office, there's some insurance issue that comes up. Well, one of the things that I want you to consider is this. If you were not on the medication, then it wouldn't matter if the insurance pays for it or not. Let me pause. So if I don't require insulin, then whether the insurance covers the insulin that my doctor prescribed or not doesn't matter, because I'm not on it. If I improve my metabolism, if I reverse my diabetes, if I improve my weight, if I decrease my cardiac risk factors, then I have essentially recouped the money that I would spend on my disease. So that's the first idea. But the bigger idea is, how are we doing financially? How are we doing in our personal finances? Are we putting ourselves in the space where we can be successful? Remember, we're not just talking about you not eating a cookie. Financial stress is one of the biggest stresses that people go through. And so, are you doing the things that you need to do financially so that that is not a stressor? Remember, Limitless Living says we are addressing all areas. And then, of course, mental health. Mental health. And this one gets muddy because there are things that come to us that we brought with us from when we were a child. There are things from our family of origins. There are things from the playground. There are things from our first marriage or our second marriage. There are things from our interactions with our children or our spouses or our parents. There are career things that come with, and we are carrying with us all of that baggage all the time. And if we are not finding ways of dealing with it, it has a significant impact on our mental health, and our mental health for sure has an impact on our metabolism. So are we doing those things that we need to do to be successful? Right? So that's the idea behind the Limitless Living Inventory. And so basically the way this works is, I'm going to go through and going to rate each of these areas, right, from a 1 to a 10. Rate these areas from 1 to 10. And this is what you would do. Rate it from 1 to 10. So physical health, how am I doing with that? Mental health, how am I doing with that? Let me get rid of this one here. Okay. So physical health, I'm gonna put a 7. Right. Nutritional health, this one for me, I think I'm gonna put a 8. Right? Because there's still those Cadburys that will sneak in. By the way, they sneak into my basket. I don't go deliberately looking for them, but somehow they jump off the shelf into the basket, into the car, and they end up somewhere where, yeah. Okay. Emotional health, I'm going to say that I'm actually doing well there, so I'm going to put a 9. Social, I'm going to put an 8. Now, one of the ways when we did our coaching certification, one of the things that they told us was not to let people put 6 or 7s, make them choose 1, 2s or 3s, or 8, 9, 10. And of course I put a 7 up there. And the reason for that is it forces you to really look at it, because sometimes people will just barely think about it and say, oh yeah, it's probably an 8 or 9, or right. So let's see. Teresa says that. Let me go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. Hopefully that works. Okay. And then spiritual health, I'm gonna put an 8. Intellectual health, I'm actually, this is one of the places that I love. So I spend a lot of time here. In fact, I was talking to somebody recently about some things that I wanted to do, and as you know, in this space, I'm always learning. So I'm not gonna say that it's perfect. I don't want to keep putting 8s, but I am gonna put an 8. Environmental health, I think I'm doing well. That one I'm gonna put a 9. Financial, I need more money, y'all. I need more money. So I'm gonna put it in. We just met with our financial guy, so maybe I could do better there. And then mental health. This is one that I'm working on. So I want to put a 6. Okay. And and let me do it a little differently. I'm going to go back. So these were numbers that I was doing it. But what I want to do is I want to exaggerate this a little bit so you guys can see what it looks like when as we're addressing it. So physical health, let me go ahead. I'm going to put a 4. All right. Nutritional, maybe leave that at 8. Emotional, maybe a 2. And put a 7, put a 5, put a 3. Leave that at a 9. And then financial, maybe go down to a 4 with that one. And then this one, I'm going to go to a 9. Okay. So essentially, this is what you do. And so you've gone through and you've looked at each of the components. Okay, remember what we're doing is we're looking to see what areas we need to work on. Where are we with other areas? So the big areas are areas that we don't need to spend any time with, or as much time. Not that you can't make it perfect, but yes, you can improve it. But as I look at this, so nutritional health looks like it's an 8. Mental health is a 9, and environmental health is a 9. So 8 and 9s, we're going to leave those alone. The next largest area is a 7, that's social, and spiritual is a 5, but it looks like the smallest areas are emotional and financial. So there are 2 ideas on how to approach the inventory. One says that I'm going to work on improving the areas where I'm already doing well. So I'm going to spend some time making those as good as possible. And the other says I'm going to look at the one where it seems to be the place where I have my biggest challenges, and I'm going to begin working to build that up. Okay? And you can do either, but remember that a lot of these areas intertwine. So it looks like a wheel, but one area can have a profound effect on another. For example, if we go back here and we look at the emotional, okay? Right? So emotional, we may say, okay, we're not going to deal with emotional. We're going to go over here to social, or maybe, what was the other one? Oh, so nutritional, and I'm going to make that as good as possible. Well, that's great, except that the emotional health has a profound impact on whether you feel like being social, whether you feel like eating well, whether you feel like exercising, whether you feel like being committed to improving those other areas. Okay? So there are some fundamental things that we want to make sure that we're working on. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here and let's take a look. And so things like physical health. Let's do that. So physical health, emotional health, and social health. Right? And nutritional health. Okay. Well, I'm not sure why those got different colors, but those are big areas. Now, it's not that the others are not important. They are, all of them are very important. And so there may be times where you say, okay, yeah, I know that nutritional thing is a big issue, but let me go deal with this spiritual thing or this intellectual thing or this other thing here now first. But as you're going through the inventory, what it does is it points out to you those areas that now let's spend some time there. Remember what we're looking for? We're looking for a path. Rand McNally. Right? We're looking for the map that sends us in the direction that helps us to be successful. And the very first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you are doing inventory for yourself. Okay? So we've talked about metabolism. Metabolism is the thing that we're working on. Limitless living, we've explained what that means and what the premise is, that we are attacking things that are preventing us from being in that space. And now we're looking down the road and saying where we are and say, okay, what are the things in my area, in my space that I need to address that are going to help me down the road? And so the Limitless Living Inventory gives you a framework, gives you a way of addressing those things. Remember, often we don't succeed, not because we don't have desire, not because we don't have vision, not because we don't have drive, not even because we don't have know-how. We don't succeed because we don't have structure, we don't have a plan, we don't have a process. And so the Limitless Living Inventory gives you that structure to be able to address that. Now, the beautiful thing about this, okay? Beautiful thing about this is, as I mentioned before, if we go back here, I can decide that, you know what? I want to, where it says social, right? Social health. I want to put a very specific component of social health there. And this is my romantic involvement. Okay? So socially, yeah, things are great. You know, you could put relationally there. But I need to spend some time specifically working on my primary relationship, and that's with my spouse, right? With my well, I'm gonna say with my spouse, so romance. My spouse, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, right? So that is a big place for me. So you can now go back and add that in. And that's what makes this so versatile, so flexible. One of the things that we will do is we will come back and we will dive into specific areas there on the Limitless Inventory and break those down further to say, okay, what are some of the things that I need to look at in my environment, right? What are some places that I need to spend, or what is some time that I need to spend in those places so that I can make that good? What are some practices that I need to implement so that I continue to grow? That's the intellectual health. How do I put those things in place? For nutrition, we've spent a lot of time talking about nutrition, but there's still room, there's still places where we need to go. There is still an understanding that we've got to have about the foods that we eat. Like I just mentioned about food intolerances. And sometimes we don't even think about that. How do we clean up not just our environment, but how do we clean up our food? Now, I want to make a statement here as it relates to food. Of all the things that we do, the place where many of us find ourselves at the bottleneck is when it comes to food. And all of the other areas on the inventory get to us through food. When romantically we're not doing well, we eat because it makes us feel better. When emotionally we're exhausted, we eat because it comforts us. When intellectually we feel dissatisfied, we eat because it numbs us. When we don't have the appropriate finances, or we think we're not doing well, we eat because it soothes us. So food is not a big deal because we're making it a big deal. Food is a big deal because it is a big deal. It's the thing that we go to most often. It's the socially acceptable thing that we go to. And it's the thing that drives a lot of our metabolism off course. So as we're going through the inventory, remember that the inventory is a way for us to parse out, if you will, those areas that are currently causing us distress, so that down the road, we can look at our metabolism and say, okay, I'm writing that. Okay, I've done well over here. Let me move over to the next area. Let me look at the next part of the pie. That is what the Limitless Living inventory does for us. It gives us that ability to be successful in that space. Okay. All right. So let's see. Let's go back and let's take a look at some of our comments. So we had said hi to Teresa. And okay, so Jion says here in South Korea it is Lunar New Year holiday. Hey, happy New Year, Jion. She said I almost forgot because till Thursday it was Lunar holiday. All I can do is just eat and eat. So is that the celebration that's going on? Right, so a lot of our celebrations revolve around food. Teresa says, happy holiday. Gian said, thank you, Teresa. All holiday is challenge for me to eat. Yeah. And once again, those places, right? So what are the things that we're setting up for ourselves for that, right? So do we call someone up and say, hey, tomorrow is X holiday. Let's do something together. Or can you check in on me to make sure that I'm doing well? Right? So we're addressing those things as they come up. Not as they come up. We're not waiting for them to happen. We are addressing them so that they don't become that big an issue. Okay? So the Jion says, thank you, Teresa. All holidays are challenge. Okay. Teresa says, Jion, just do your best to not to eat that much. That's a good one. Like I said, elicit help from the community. Jion said, thank you, Teresa. I love food, but sometimes it scares me. I'm pausing because to some people that sounds strange, but been there, done that. That's a real where you're like, I don't know what to do. I love it so much, but look at what it's doing, right? This back and forth. Gion says, and this weekend I couldn't fast. I ate as I made my daughter's lunch. Yeah. So Gion, here's a question that she has. Doctor, I don't understand inflammation causing insulin resistance. How does inflammation cause insulin resistance? Great question. I love that. So here it is. So when your body becomes inflamed, then it produces certain substances. For example, things like cytokines. So cytokines are inflammatory markers. And those inflammatory markers can cause your body not to respond to the insulin appropriately. Right? It causes chemical changes, causes hormonal changes, and for some reason, it prevents the insulin from being able to do what it needs to do to get your blood sugar into the cell. Inflammation will cause your body to send those inflammatory cells to a particular area. And when your body starts to make inflammatory cells, your entire body is mobilized, right? We think that, I've got a cut over here, or I've got some swelling over here, and so the only place that is going to be affected is that area. Well, no, those cells that are at your toe that are inflammatory, they get the signal that something's going on in your hand. And so they start moving in that direction. The problem is that they've got to move from your toe through your leg, through your abdomen, through your thorax, across your arm. And what do you think they're doing as they're moving in that direction? Right? All the chemicals and all the things that are associated with them are also moving through the body. So that causes us distress. Good question. So Teresa, we dealt with that one. Blah blah blah. Gion says, I'm going to food all around. So I'm gonna have food all around me this holiday. Once again, Gian, elicit help, reach out to the community. Even here now, say to someone, "Hey, can you check in on me? Get into the group, guys. I encourage you guys to get there and to help support each other." Lightwork says, inflammation is a disruptor like a car accident at rush hour. So it creates an imbalance, disharmony. Yes, I love that. That's a very good description. That something happens and it disrupts the entire system. And so now all of the components are basically, right, rubbernecking. Okay? So that's very important. So inflammation is one of, I shouldn't say is one of. We believe that a lot of our metabolic dysfunction comes directly from inflammation. That is an inflammatory process. In fact, diabetes, type 1 diabetes, we know that's inflammatory, right? So the body attacks, because it's an autoimmune disease, the body attacks the pancreas. Type 2 diabetes, inflammatory. We believe that your body, that we think there's a genetic predisposition, yes, but there's an environmental factor that comes into play as well. And so when that environmental factor happens, inflammation, whatever's going on in your environment, the food that we eat that makes our body more insulin resistant, and so all of a sudden, our insulin doesn't work. And so here comes diabetes. Right? So thank you, Lightworks. Very good, very good. And then Teresa says, and we destroy inflammation totally. Can we destroy inflammation totally? Very good question. And the actual answer is probably not. Let me pause. And the reason I say probably not is because our environment is pro-inflammatory. Like, I'm sitting here in the studio under these lights. These lights are causing damage to my skin, which can precipitate an inflammatory process. Some of the chemicals that we use are pro-inflammatory. A lot of the foods that we use, I want you to think about this, right? So when we eat food, the food goes into our body, and everybody, well, it's not everybody, but we think that the acid within our stomach is only there to break the food down. You know, one of the primary responsibilities of the acid that's in our stomach, it is to detoxify the food that we're eating. And so now I want you to think through what happens to a lot of people. For some reason, they develop indigestion, right? There's a whole conversation we can have about indigestion. So they develop indigestion, and what do we give them? We give them medications that decrease the acid in their body. Essentially, decreasing the thing that's in the body to kill the bacteria and to detoxify the food that we're eating. So for that person, we are now putting them at increased risk for inflammatory processes. Right? We eat food. We take medication. We take substances that kill the good bacteria in our gut. That good bacteria is there because it helps us with inflammation. The food that we've eaten, the way we've engineered the food has consequences for our GI tract. It makes it more inflamed, right? And think about when something becomes inflamed. The swelling that you see in a joint, swelling that you see in a hand when there's a cut, that's inflammation. And the reason inflammation happens is that the body is in the process of sending cells and material to that area to wall it off, to protect the rest of the body from it. And the way it gets there is it comes out of the vessels and it goes into the tissue. And so that's how you get swelling. Well, if I've eaten something that sets off a reaction in my stomach, in my GI tract, then the same thing happens, and all of a sudden I get these swollen areas in my stomach. And when things swell, the skin breaks. And when the skin breaks, now bacteria can get in there. That's why when you stump your toe or you fall and you bruise and you do something, we don't just tell you to wash it off and go about your business. Sometimes we'll tell you, put some antibiotic ointment on that area. Why? Because we want to prevent stuff from coming in. Inflammation. It's huge. And it's all around us. Now we can minimize it. Balanced bites, right? The food that we eat. The rest that we get. When we rest, when we get good quality restorative sleep, that good quality restorative sleep helps our body to heal. It decreases inflammatory markers because our body is rested. It rebuilds. When we fast, autophagy decreases inflammation. We've talked about that. It improves our recycling ability. It helps our body to take those broken, damaged, unused cells, recycle them, and bring them back as better substances and better components. When we eat food that is not as processed as we normally eat, the processing that some food goes through is pro-inflammatory. Yeah. So Teresa, that was a long explanation, an answer to your question. The simple answer is that it's all around us, but we can do things to mitigate it. We can do things to decrease the process of inflammation in our bodies. Okay? All right. So Limitless Living says that we are breaking free from those boundaries. We're breaking free from those obstacles, and we are moving in the direction of presenting our best self, our best life, our best health. And if we are going somewhere, we've got to assess where we are. And the Limitless Living inventory allows us to assess those areas, those components, those fundamentals, those dimensions in our lives where we need to identify and say, okay, I need to work on that. I need to work on my ability to say no and not feel guilty. I need to work on my ability to not overcommit. I need to work on my ability to get to bed on time. I need to work on my ability to not be dissatisfied, restless, and irritable because I don't like my job. Go get another skill. Change jobs. Okay? That's what Limitless Living says. And the inventory allows us to identify those components, those dimensions is what we're calling them, those dimensions where we need to make change. Now, we'll come back and we'll do more in the discussion on the Limitless Living inventory, how to apply it, what do we do next, right? Because once you've identified it, say, hey, what's the next step? Okay? Awesome. All right. So we are very excited that you're here. Remember that all that we do is built on our Triple E formula for success. It is that we educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows, the podcast, the blog. We empower with the tools that we're learning. Like right now, we're learning the Limitless Living Inventory. Right? That is a tool that you can apply to your life, tool that you can use. We encourage with the community that we're building, community that you are part of. If you've not done so yet, make sure that you get over to the YouTube channel and you can join our membership. We would love for you to become a part of that. You have access to our community group where you can get in. We do our community meetup once a month. In the community, you can come in there and begin learning how to support each other, get support from other people that are there, right? There are videos that we do specifically that for the community members. So lots of good features out there, and I want to encourage you to do that. Now, I think it was, and I just saw Cornelia pop up. I don't know if it was Cornelia or Autumn that said to me several weeks ago about a shirt that I was wearing, and they said, "Hey, do you have those that we can get?" And Cornelia, if that was you or if it was Autumn, I want to let you know that those are now available, and you can get those on. If you go to YouTube, if you go to our YouTube channel, and you go to the store, you can now get those. In fact, let me see if I can. Let me pull that up. And I will, let's see. So I'm going on my phone. There they are. Okay, let me do this. Okay, so you can now get the mugs. You can get the hats. We've got our Triple E formula for success there. We got the 91.4. We got the E3, so all those are available on the channel, on the website, and I'll put that link into the community group. Okay, awesome. All right, so Triple E formula for success. What we do is we are moving to improve our health. We're reversing diabetes. And that is what Limitless Living says. It allows us to assess, and it allows us to move and evaluate and change the things that we need to change so that we can be success. So we're breaking free from boundaries, and we're pursuing our best self, our best health, our best life without being held back by external or internal roadblocks. Okay. All right. So we will be back as we do our check-ins later this week. So make sure that you join us as we do our fasting. On Friday, we will. I'll probably end up doing the check-in early because we won't have an episode on Friday, or it will be recorded. Same thing for next week. In our next week, so we won't have a live show on Monday. There will be something here in this space for you, but it won't be a live show. Our next live show will not be until the following Monday, so which is February, and let's go back there. That's going to be February the 10th. Okay, will be our next live show. But there will be content here for you. Make sure you come back. Make sure you watch us. We'll be here tomorrow. We'll be here the next day as we do our check-ins leading up to the rest of this week. Always, always, always make sure that you get into the community. Right? I can't stress that enough. It is a huge part of the Triple E formula for success, and it is the place that allows you to get support and get encouragement as you're moving through this journey. It is not a journey that you want to do by yourself. Okay? Well, thank you for being here. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, what we're doing, we are living limitless lives. Actually, let me do one thing. I almost forgot. I did not do our link for our post-show meetup. So hold on a second. Let me just grab that really quickly. All right, so let's do that. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to post this in the community tab on the channel. Let's see. So this is for right after the show. And here it is. Okay, so I just put the community tab there, And while I'm doing that, let me go ahead and grab. I'm gonna grab the link for the store. See if I can grab it. Hold on a second. All right, so a couple links that I'll put out there. So one is, here it is, yeah. Okay, I'll get that into there. I'll get that into there. But the link for the post show is there. So just hop in and we'll see you. Once again, good night, everybody. We'll see you at our next show. Bye-bye.